The night was quiet, too quiet for a hotel that old. The Riverside Inn stood at the edge of a forgotten town, its faded sign flickering weakly under the streetlight. Inside, Daniel, the night receptionist, sat alone behind the wooden counter, listening to the faint hum of the ceiling fan. Most nights were the same empty halls, soft rain outside and an old radio whispering in the background. But that night, something was off. At exactly 2:13 a.m., the phone on the counter rang. Not Daniel's cell phone, not the front desk line. The old landline phone, dusty and cracked, that no one had used in years. Daniel frowned and picked up the receiver. Front desk, who's calling? There was only static at first, a long broken hiss. Then, a faint voice whispered, "Room 17." Daniel's fingers stiffened. He looked at the old guest chart hanging behind him. Room 17 had been empty for months. In fact, the door was locked, sealed since the incident last winter. "Who is this?" he asked, his voice shaking slightly. No answer, just more static. Then the call ended. He sat there for a moment, the sound of rain pressing against the windows. Maybe it was a prank, he thought. Old lines sometimes glitched, but something about that voice. It didn't sound like a prank. It sounded like a whisper through walls. Daniel stood, grabbed the spare key ring, and looked down the hallway. The corridor leading to room 17 was long and dark, lit only by weak yellow bulbs. The air felt colder there, heavy and still. He walked slowly, his footsteps echoing against the old carpet. When he reached the end, he stopped. The door to room 17 was slightly open. That couldn't be right. He had locked it himself months ago, after the police came. Daniel pushed the door gently. It creaked open. Inside, the room was dark, except for a single chair facing the window. Dust floated in the air like tiny ghosts. The phone on the bedside table was off the hook, swinging slowly. "Hello?" he called. No answer. Only the faint, dripping sound of a leaking pipe. He walked closer and picked up the receiver. Static again. "Then you shouldn't have come back, Daniel." His heart froze. The voice, it was his own. He dropped the phone. The sound echoed in the room. The window flickered for a second. He saw something on the glass, a reflection of himself, standing behind the desk, talking on the phone. But he wasn't at the desk. He was here, in the room. The lights flickered. The phone started ringing again, this time louder, sharper, like it was screaming. Daniel stumbled back, eyes wide. The sound filled the room, growing faster and faster until silence. The phone stopped. The window went dark. Daniel turned to leave, but the door was gone, just a wall. Room 17 had no exit anymore. And somewhere behind him, the phone started ringing again. Daniel didn't sleep that night. The sound of the phone still echoed in his head, that soft, broken voice that called his name from the other side. He replayed the incident again and again. The call, the static, the silence afterward. He told himself it was just a prank or maybe a system glitch. But something deep inside whispered, that voice knew him. The morning after. At sunrise, Daniel walked back to the motel corridor. The door of room 17 was closed. The number plate hung slightly crooked, like it had been touched recently. He knocked once, no answer. He tried again, nothing. He pressed his ear against the wood and froze. There was a faint noise from inside. Not movement, not breathing, but whispering, like a voice repeating something on loop. He turned the knob. Locked. When he asked the motel manager for the spare key, the old man looked at him like he was crazy. "Son, that room hasn't been opened in years," the manager said. Daniel asked, "'Cause no one stays in there since the fire." The forgotten incident later that day, Daniel found an old newspaper clipping on the manager's desk. The headline read, "Young woman found dead in room 17, cause unknown." There was a photo. The woman looked familiar, but he couldn't remember why. He felt a chill crawl up his spine when he saw the date. June 17, 2017. He was sure he had been in that city the same month. And in the corner of the photo, barely visible, was a reflection in a broken mirror. Someone standing in the doorway. Someone who looked just like him. The night returns that night. He tried not to think about it. He opened his laptop, played some music, and tried to write emails. But the same pattern kept repeating on his screen. Static lines, just like the call. Then his laptop camera light flickered on. He froze. He hadn't turned it on. The screen turned black for a few seconds, and then the image appeared. It was a video feed of room 17 live. The empty bed, the window, the ringing phone. And on the screen, someone entered the room. The man looked around, walked toward the phone, and picked it up. It was him. The call again, the real phone on his table, started to ring. The same broken tone. He stared at it, heart pounding, his reflection trembling in the laptop screen. He picked up. "Who is this?" he whispered. The same voice replied, clearer this time. "Why did you leave me there?" Daniel's breathing stopped. "Who are you? Static?" "Then you promised you'd come back." The call cut off. His laptop shut down by itself. The recording Daniel tried to calm down, but curiosity took over fear. He checked his phone logs. There was no record of the call. He checked his laptop. No sign of the video feed. But one new file had appeared on his desktop. It was named June_17_2017_record.mp4. He clicked play. The video showed a younger version of himself sitting on the same motel bed, laughing with someone just outside the frame. A woman's voice, her laugh matched the same voice from the phone call. The video glitched halfway through. The woman screamed. The room caught fire. And just before the screen went dark, the younger Daniel looked directly into the camera and whispered, "Don't forget me." The truth creeps in. Daniel sat frozen. He remembered nothing from that year, a gap in his memory he could never explain. But now, piece by piece, it was returning. The woman, the motel, the fire. He had been there. He realized then that the call wasn't coming from room 17, it was coming from the past. And whatever happened that night, it wasn't over. The final glitch, as Daniel stared at the paused frame of his younger self, something strange happened. The screen flickered again. The reflection of his room behind him appeared darker. And on the glass window behind him, a figure slowly came into focus, a woman's shadow. She was standing exactly where the reflection in the video had been. He turned around. Nothing. He faced the screen again. Now the words appeared, typed by themselves across the video. "Check room 17. She's waiting." The phone started to ring again, and this time, Daniel smiled. He whispered to himself, "Maybe it's time to answer properly." The lights flickered. Static filled the screen. Rain poured outside as Daniel stood before room 17 again. The door looked the same. The crooked number plate, the cold air, the silence. He unlocked it. The key turned easily, like the room had been waiting for him. Inside, the air was heavy with dust and burnt wood. The old telephone on the table glowed faintly. Its cord moved slightly. He whispered, "I'm here." The phone rang instantly. He didn't answer. The ringing grew sharper, vibrating through the walls until it stopped. Then words appeared on the cracked mirror. "Look closer." The mirror. Daniel stepped closer. His reflection blinked a second, slower than him. Then it smiled. "You left her, you left me," it whispered. The mirror rippled, showing another version of the room, clean, bright, alive. A woman sat on the bed, and beside her stood a younger Daniel, holding the same phone. "You made the call," the reflection said. Flames filled the mirror's world. The woman screamed. The glass cracked, and the heat bled into the real room. Smoke curled from the walls. The other Daniel, the door wouldn't open. The phone screamed. Then, from the smoke, another figure appeared. Daniel himself, older, burned, hollow-eyed. "We've done this before," the older Daniel said. "Every time you forget. Every time it resets." Daniel trembled. "What resets?" "The fire, the call. You built that phone to warn yourself. But it connected to something else. The entity." The lights flickered. The mirror pulsed, and something else appeared inside. A figure made of static and shadow. "You broke the line between worlds," it said, its voice layered and glitching. "You tried to save her, but you saved me instead." The figure's face twisted, half her, half noise. "Find the first call," it whispered. Then everything went black. The reset Daniel woke on the same bed. Morning light, silent phone. Clock reading 6:17 a.m. He sat up, shaking. The phone rang once. He didn't answer. He started recording on his mobile instead. "Daniel," calm, sad voice spoke. "You found me once. You can do it again." Static buzzed. The call ended. A new file appeared on his screen. June_17_2017_record2.mp4. He played it. The video showed the motel hallway filmed from behind him. The camera zoomed closer. He turned around, no one there. Then on the video, his reflection smiled and whispered, "Part 3 complete." The lights went out. The hotel was silent again that night. Only the hum of the old ceiling fan broke the stillness. Armand sat at the counter, staring at the landline phone. It hadn't stopped ringing for 3 nights straight. Always at 2:13 a.m. Always from room 17. He hadn't slept in days. Dark circles hung under his eyes, and his hands shook every time the clock ticked closer to 2 a.m. He tried to tell himself it was just his imagination until he watched the CCTV footage. It showed him talking on the phone, but his lips never moved. It's like something else was using his body. He glanced at the clock. 2:10 a.m., 3 minutes left. He opened the old hotel logbook, flipping through dusty pages. Names were scribbled in faded ink, some crossed out. But one name made him freeze, written in fresh black ink. Armand -2017. His breath caught. "I started here last year." "Not in 2017, he whispered. He flipped more pages. Each had a name and a year. 2013, 2015, 2017. Always 2 years apart. Each person disappeared after 4 nights, and tonight was Armand's 4th night. The ceiling fan stopped. The lights flickered, then went out. A red light glowed on the hotel phone. 2:13 a.m. Ringing. Armand stared at it, frozen. He wanted to run, but the ringing grew louder, sharper, like it was inside his head. Finally, he picked up. "Hello?" he whispered. Static hissed. Then a familiar voice spoke. "Armand, you're late for your shift?" He froze. It was his own voice. He dropped the phone, heart pounding. The voice continued from the receiver, calm and cold. "Someone new has to take your place. You know the rule." "What rule?" "Who are you?" he shouted. No reply, only soft, slow footsteps from the hallway. He turned. Under the flickering light, a shadow appeared, tall, calm, wearing the same uniform as him. The closer it came, the clearer it became. Same eyes, same face. It was himself. The phone started to melt in his hand, plastic dripping like wax. He dropped it, but his voice kept echoing through the static. "You never checked out." Armand stumbled backward. He turned and ran for the exit. But when he opened the front door, it didn't lead outside. It led straight into room 17. The air inside was freezing. The walls were covered in strange, dark stains. On the bedside table, the red phone light blinked slowly, waiting. The door slammed shut behind him. Armand shouted, but his voice disappeared into the walls. He looked at the mirror and saw not his reflection, but the shadow version of himself standing behind him, smiling. The lights went out. Only the red glow remained. He picked up the phone with trembling hands. A whisper came through, soft, familiar, final. Welcome home. Everything went dark. Next morning, the manager walked into the lobby, yawning. He frowned. The counter was empty. The logbook lay open, pen still on the page. The phone line was dead. He flipped through the logbook casually, then stopped. A new name had been added overnight. Hassan, minus 2025. He frowned. That's strange. We don't have any Hassan on staff. Just then, the phone rang. The display blinked. Room 17. He sighed. That room again. He picked up the receiver. Static. Then, a calm whisper. Good evening, sir. Welcome to your shift. The red light blinked once, then went dark. The end. They say the phone in room 17 still rings every night at 2:13 a.m. If you ever stay there, I don't answer.